Hello and welcome back to our children's virtual program, Book Tasting. So I have a new book for you called Pony. 12-year-old Silas is awoken in the dead of night by three horsemen who arrive unannounced to take his father away. Silas is left shaken, scared, and alone, except for the presence of his companion, Mittenwool, who happens to be a ghost. But when a pony shows up at his door, Silas knows what he has to do. He will set out on a perilous journey across the vast American landscape to find his father, a journey that will ultimately connect him to his past and future and the unfathomable mysteries of the world around him. Alright, so I will be reading the first chapter of the book Pony. Pa had always had a natural curiosity about photography. Having come from Scotland where such arts flourish, he dabbled in daguerreotypes for a short while after settling in Ohio, a region naturally full of salt springs, from which comes the agent bromine, an essential component of the developing process. But daguerreotypes were an expensive enterprise that turned very little profit, and Pa did not have the means to pursue it. People haven't had the money for delicate souvenirs, he responded, which is why he became a boot maker. People always have a need for boots, he said. Pa's specialty was that the calf-high Wellington in grain leather, to which he added a secret compartment in the heel for storing tobacco or a pocket knife. This convenience was greatly desired by customers, so he got by pretty well on those boot orders. Pa worked in the shed next to the barn and once a month traveled to Bonneville with a cart full of boots pulled by Mule, our mule. But after lightning imprinted my back with the image of an oak tree, Pa once again turned his attention to the science of photography. It was his belief that the image on my skin had come there as a consequence of the same chemical reactions at play in photography. The human body, he told me, as I watched him mixing chemicals that smell of rotten eggs and cider vinegar, is a vessel full of the same mystery substances, subject to the same physical laws as everything else in the universe. If an image can be preserved by the action of light upon your body, it can be preserved by the same action upon paper. That is why it was not daguerreotypes that drew his interest anymore, but a new form of photography involving paper soaked in a solution of iron and salt, to which is transferred by means of sunlight a positive image from a glass negative. Pa quickly mastered the new science and became a highly regarded practitioner of the collodion process, as it was called, an art form hardly seen in these parts. It was a bold field requiring great experimentation and resulting in pictures most astounding in their beauty. Pa's iron types, as he called them, had none of these. He used his own proprietary formula for the sensor, which is where the bromine came in, and applied for a patent before opening a studio in Bonneville, down the road from the courthouse. In no time at all, his iron-dusted paper portraits became quite the rage around here, for not only were they infinitely cheaper than daguerreotypes, but they could be reproduced over and over again from a single negative, adding even more to their allure, and for an extra charge, Pa would tint them with a mix of egg wash and colored pigment, which gave them a lifelike resemblance most extraordinary to behold. People traveled from all over to have their portraits taken. One fancy lady came all the way from Akron for a sitting. I assisted in Pa's studio, adjusting the light and cleaning the focusing plates. A few times Pa even let me polish the new brass portrait's lens, which had been a major investment in the business and required delicacy in its handling. Such had our circumstances turned Pa's in mind that he was contemplating selling his boot-making enterprise altogether, for he said he much preferred the smell of mixing potions to the stink of people's feet. It was at this time that our lives were forever changed by the pre-dawn visitation of three riders and a bald-faced pony. Alrighty, so I am ending it there. If you were interested in the book Pony, it is available on the shelves in the children's collection. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week for a new book.